Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Subdued hello.
Yeah. So, Amy, I am very disappointed in you in particular because you were hyping up this season for so long and it's bad.
I agree. So I fully got my husband to watch this one with me because I was like, oh no, it's good. There's some good acting in this. Like, I remember the season finale and then we were watching it and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. For a season finale, it was a weird choice. Half the episode didn't need to happen.
Yeah, it was a choice. What? Like, I was watching it, literally like, where is this going? I can't remember where this is going. Like, what is happening here? I don't remember this episode.
Like, they've been building and building about getting to purgatory, getting all these souls, doing this, doing that. And yet, the man who knew too much was Sam. What are you doing? And I mean, that's like, I guess it must be a lead-in to season 7 because they're going to switch back to all being about Sam again.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, here's a like shoehorned episode in at the very end where like cliffhanger, but like no. So okay, so we're obviously doing season 6, episode 22, The Man Who Knew Too Much, written by Eric Kripke, which is why it's all about Sam, and directed by Rob Singer. Great use of the like Hitchcock zoom in this one, where like the person gets closer and the background gets I do enjoy that. I really do enjoy that. But everything else was bad.
There were so many, like I couldn't even count them all, like more than 10 reaction shots like in this where it's like cuts to different people's faces, and it always makes you think of the Rocky Horror Show where it's like Janet,
yes,
Brad, Dr. Scott, Rocky. Every time they do reaction shots like that, and it was like the perfect amount of people. I think there were like 4 people in the room and I was like, it worked.
You just got to put the audio over the top of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I should edit that. That would be awesome. Yeah. I don't know where I got my idea of the end of season 6 from anymore, but I think it's put the final nail in the coffin of this season is bad. Like, yeah, there are clearly good moments in season 6, like that, no denying.
Yes,
there are good moments, but overall, storytelling wise, I think it might be bad.
Yeah, and so it has like all of the issues of everything wrong with Supernatural in one season. And I think that's the problem. Like, characters just randomly dying off without any sort of consequence.
Yep.
The Campbells.
Yep.
It doesn't really go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's all kind of self-contained. The use of a red herring that's just not well done.
Yeah. I just love it for us particularly because we've been going like, right, they want us to think that it's all about Sam this season, like all about Soulless Sam, and that's the storyline. But actually, it's really about Cass's storyline and the war in heaven and purgatory and all this. And then we get to this episode, it's like, psych! It was all about
nothing
Sam.
To do with anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you trying to like, you know, be literate in media. Screw you. Screw you.
We're going to subvert your expectations again, but in a way that you never saw coming, and it's not a good twist. Like,
what? Like I said, there was I had one really good moment while I was watching this episode, because it's really fun watching it with someone else, I think, because obviously we get to talk about it, but occasionally I'll like rope him in and be like, you have to sit down and watch this episode with me so I can react off you. Right? And did have some good moments of like, wow. Yeah. Mark Sheppard was the best thing about this episode, hands down.
Oh, for sure.
Hands down. I don't know if he wasn't in it. Like, I don't even know what it would have been, because he was the only comic relief in this whole bit, and I appreciate him for that. And he was acting his butt off, doing that whole Latin into the camera, like, Mark Sheppard. Yeah.
He made this season for what he for the episodes he was in.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see
And then
more
he
of
wasn't
him.
in like half of them because he was dead, quote unquote.
I don't know what to say about this, because like, it was something.
It was there.
Like, was it just the only thing that was going through my head while watching this episode was Jensen frickin' Ackles complaining about how long they spent on Solar Sam at the convention we went to. And thinking, we're finally through it. Through Solar Sam. And then 2/3 of this episode.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, because like I've said many times, I pause it and make notes as I go along, because I can't write and watch at the same time. Otherwise I end up writing what they're saying. And anyway, and I paused it at one point and I was like, wait, there's only 13 minutes left of the episode. Like, what? Nothing's happened. What? No. I was like, we're supposed to get into I was like, I thought there was so much more, because I'm also thinking of the like, I don't think it's a cesspool, but I think it's a cesspool that he gets into. And I'm like, where's this? And I obviously Godsteel is a thing, and I was like, I thought it came later on with like something to do with the angels, but then obviously that can't happen because he's losing his grace at that point because of all of this. And I was just like, but I thought he gave the souls back, but no, he doesn't. Like,
you know what it is. I realized while I was watching what happens is that I thought the end of season 6 was like, when Cass like goes into the lake and the goo. But the problem is, and I think we were talking about this at the beginning before we started recording, that whole bit happens in that same freaking room. So you're like, I recognize this room. But that I think it's the beginning of season 7. We haven't got there yet, but like I'm getting the end of season 6 and the beginning of season 7 really confused in my brain because they all happen in the same location.
Right. Yeah. And I guess I guess we don't have like Godsteel for that long. Godsteel, however you say it, for very long then. Because for some reason I'm thinking that it was like maybe a mid-season finale that happens, but that doesn't give them enough time to do all the crazy shenanigans with the Leviathan.
So much happens in season 7. Like there's so much has got squashed into that. I think this might be Solar Sam's fault that they spent so long on that character arc, and maybe there was like a bit of like, this was too long, because every other like major character arc that happens now is 3 episodes max. Godsteel, Demon Dean, Mark of Cain. Well, then Mark of Cain goes on for longer, to be fair, actually. That does. Dean being Michael for a bit. Sam doesn't get another storyline, by the way. He has a dog.
Yeah, they have a dog. And Eileen.
Oh, Eileen. Yeah, again, that's kind of a 3 episode arc, right? There's like, it's not much more than that. So I don't know if it's because of season 6.
They're like, we can't spend 12 episodes on it again.
No, but I don't hate Solar Sam. Like, I think the acting's good. Like, I think there's nothing like fundamentally wrong with this episode. It just wasn't where I thought the season was going, and it was just out of freaking nowhere. And one more thing, the flashback that was in this episode should have been the end of last episode, because then it would have made more narrative sense. And maybe I'll explain that when we get to it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting ourselves a lot. Should we do it?
Should we do it? Yeah, we should. Yes. Yeah. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm going to think on it as I talk, maybe. We'll see.
I love
if
how
I can do that. Talk and think at the same time.
We like tease people, like, we're going to talk about this. And then I bet half the time we don't.
Half the time we don't do it. Yep. No, we kind of do. We kind of do, but maybe not in the same way, that the same enthusiasm as we had when we mentioned it. But I'm not sorry for that.
No, I'm not sorry either. That's how conversations go.
Exactly. Otherwise, we would be stuck here for too long and we won't get anywhere. So
I feel like I know our podcast is called Escaping Purgatory, but I feel like we should have called it like Getting to Purgatory first, right? First we have to get there.
Yeah.
So in order to get stuck.
So we get the road so far, not a recap, but road so far. So of course, Carry On starts playing, and it's not as triggering as it used to be. It's in a sad way. It's more of an annoyance now.
I maybe think that karaoke cured me. Maybe the key to not being sad about like Carry On, whatever the name of the song is. Is singing it in a room full of drunk people with other Supernatural fans. Maybe that's the key.
I mean,
yeah,
I think it might be. And like losing your voice the next day over it.
Yeah, maybe that's how they should promote karaoke even more. Like, look, you need to come and sing it with everyone else, and then it means that when you walk into a store and people playing it, it's no longer triggering. Come make happy memories surrounding this song.
Exactly. Yeah, having DJ sing at you.
Yeah, it's all good. But no, I found the same thing. I don't know if it's because this recap Road So Far was quite intense. Like there was a lot going on. They're always so well edited, but like I was focused on what was happening in the screen rather than listening to the music for once.
And also there was a lot of talking. There was a lot of voiceovers for it. So the music, like you get the first like bar, and then it drops out, and so you can't really hear it anymore. And then just at the end, where it fades into the episode, you get whatever that last line is, which I can't remember what it is right now.
Don't you cry no more. It's always right.
That's the one. Yep. Yep, that's the one. It is actually the one. So like you said, there is a lot going on. So I'm not going to describe each thing because it's very much like action to the music and what's being said. So there's a lot of like them killing monsters. Obviously it starts with the end of season 5 with Sam and Adam falling into the cage. Then lots of different monsters getting killed. The 2.5 Men. So the second episode, where Lisa tells him to go back to hunting. Yeah. The discovery of Soulless Sam, because we get a montage of Soulless Sam kills, where he looks all brutal and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. We get a little bit of Death talking about how he's going to go to hell and get his soul, and that it's all about the souls. Then Crowley talking about finding purgatory and how important it is to him, and how, like, from the man who would be king, about all of that. The plan, basically, between him and Crowley and Cass. Yeah. And how the souls will help Cass kill Raphael. And then Eve dying, because we get a little bit of that, even though that really didn't do anything.
I don't think they even showed Samuel Campbell dying in the Road So Far.
Nope, they didn't have anything of Samuel in this.
Nope.
Nothing. So he really meant nothing in the end, which is really dumb because there was so much there that they could have done.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've talked a lot about how much more season 6 could have been. A lot. And then we get the sort of the end-ish of The Man Who Would Be King, with Dean saying, you and Crowley, you've been going after Purgatory together. And Cass saying, I can stop Raphael, you have to trust me. And then it goes into, you can cry no more. And then goes into the teeth. So a couple of things with this.
Yeah.
So we'll get there in just a second. But they needed the blood of a creature from Purgatory. But apparently Eve was not enough. Does that mean that... No, but this doesn't make sense, actually. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get hung up on this for just a second. So Eleanor is a monster from Purgatory that took over a person.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry. Bumping the microphone. I'm getting annoyed. My hands are swinging everywhere. They captured Eve.
Yeah.
Who still has blood in her body.
Yeah.
But that blood's not enough, even though Eve is exactly the same as an entity from Purgatory coming into a human body.
I guess...
What is the difference?
To be pedantic, Eve isn't a monster. She's a mother of monsters. She was originally human. Maybe. So maybe she's not in the same... like genus and species. I don't know. No, I agree with you. Like, it's like, why Eleanor? But like, yeah, I think that's why. I think Eve is too something. She's something else, I think.
Right, because she was bleeding black.
Yeah,
right? And like when Crowley was all in her guts, it was all black and eggs.
And I think
so
it maybe, maybe has to be a monster that went to Purgatory and came back. Because obviously Eleanor isn't actually a I assume she wasn't a Purgatory native, as in she was born there. Oh, I don't know. Maybe she was a Leviathan. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, yeah, I have no idea.
Nope.
We decided that she was a dragon
I
because
thought it was cool.
Her knowledge of... I think she's still a dragon, to be fair.
I think is the coolest explanation. Like with the swords and stuff. Yeah. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah. And being 900 years ago and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. For sure. So, yeah. We get, after like this already chaotic, intense recap for so far. Yeah. We get this like whole sequence of like a POV of Sam running / like being chased.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like Sam's view, like where they have like the camera on the person and it's like shaking as they're running, and then sometimes it's far away. It's all kind of Robert Singer is having a day.
This episode as well was so dark, like physically dark.
Yes. Yep.
At some points I could not make out what was going on. I was like, who is that? Who's that shadow? That hair must be Sam's. I recognize this.
I think that was supposed to be the point in that one. Fine. But yeah, like this felt very dark and not very like. It was way too disorienting coming off of that like road so far.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It's like it is really intentional. Like, what's going on? Which fine. You do you, Kripke. I see you.
I guess so. And Sam like runs down an alleyway and like hides behind the gate / bit of a wall, and you see like this huge neon sign that says Castle Storage. I was like, oh, it's the storage place, Castle on the Hill.
Oh yeah,
the Michael sword. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't spot that. I spotted something else. That's pretty cool.
He then like manages to, he's in the alleyway to a bar and he like falls into the bar, and the woman behind the bartender, her name is Robin. I didn't actually catch that her name was Robin.
No.
For the entire time I just did not catch her name.
I don't think she had a name, but I guess she did in the credits.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think she looks a little bit like too much like Ruby for comfort. I thought that the whole time.
She does.
Yeah.
She's like a bizarre cross between like Lisa with a lot of makeup on.
Yeah.
Like darker makeup, and Ruby.
Yeah. I agree.
It was a choice. So Robin's like trying to usher her Sam out and being like, you can't be here, we're closed. And Sam's like, just give me a second. She then spots the police car that's driving by, and she's like, look, I think I understand what's going on.
Mhm.
And you need to, like, I don't need this kind of hassle. So, you know, you have to get out of here. And Sam's sort of like, you know, please, you need to give me a minute to think. That's all, you know, then I'll be out of your hair. Robin tries to she grabs a baseball bat.
Mhm.
And I wrote, Sam's puppy dog eyes work. Because she like puts the bat back down after he's like, 1 minute, please.
So true.
She then asks what's his name, and Sam says, I don't know. It's like, I don't remember anything. And that's it. Then you get the title card.
I like that. Yes. So I was trying to like psychoanalyze this in the same way we've done with like Dean's dream sequences, but like I feel I made this joke, like I'll probably make this joke again later, but like I feel like Sam's maybe not that deep sometimes.
Yeah.
There's only three of it.
I know. Like so I feel like that was wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's three of you.
Yeah.
Or there's three of him, but he needs to find three.
Okay, fine.
Like there's one and then you have to find three. I feel like that's the way it should go, not that there are three.
There are only three facets of Sam.
What? I mean, obviously there are more, but like in terms of just like storytelling, like
yeah.
I guess he finds his first one, right? Because he goes to the hotel, and that's like regaining his first set of memories as like souled Sam. Yeah. But like even still, I feel like that's really dumb because all of the other ones they have, you know, this whole sequence of like he has to. Can we just talk about like having to kill yourself to then regain yourself? Like, what is that? Kripke, please go see someone about that. That doesn't seem right.
Right, man. Yeah, it was a thing.
Like self-destruction to fulfill yourself. Like, no. No, not that kind of self-destruction. You destroy the things that keep you back.
There is a quote, like, he must like destroy the self to be. I can't remember what it is. It sounds some kind of like Freud nonsense. Yeah. I don't know. But someone's like screaming at me, like, this quote. I don't know it. But anyway, I knew all of this wasn't real, even though I couldn't remember this episode at all, because Robin in the bar hands Sam a drink. What brand is that drink, Annabelle? Do you remember?
Oh, is it Del Sol?
It's that El Sol. And there's a big sign behind him. And I turned to my husband and was like, this is a dream. And he's like, how do you know? The beer. And he was like, what are you talking about? You absolute loony. And then I was like, ha! When it was, I was like, I told you it was a dream. Like, that is honestly the biggest clue in Supernatural. Whenever someone's in a dream sequence or something isn't real, it's the beer. Mm-hmm. And I still like to point out that is the beer that Dean is drinking in 1520. Ooh!
This is true. This is very true. Yep.
Take a sip of my drink. But yeah, there's a big sign behind him, and I was like, it's a dream, it's a dream, it's a dream. And he thought I was crazy. But I was like, actually, I just know Supernatural really well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So they drink together, and they go through like, what does Sam remember? He says that he woke up on a bench with cops like shoving a flashlight in his face. And she's like, oh, you ran away? And he's like, no, I knocked them out, both of them. Like, I didn't mean to. It just happened. Like, on instinct. I think it's interesting that even in Sam's dreams, he's being pursued, like, from the get-go. Right?
Yeah.
Because his whole life he's been pursued by Azazel.
Something.
Lucifer. Mm-hmm. Like, he's always felt like he's on the run from something. John.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, you're right.
So why wouldn't his brain immediately go to, like, I have to run? Or, like, fight? He's a very fight, not flight. Sam Winchester. That is true. He does often face things, like, head on. He doesn't tend to run from them, right? So I think that's kind of...
That's true.
I say I'm going to psychoanalyze him. We do it for Dean. Sam deserves the same treatment.
This is true. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So Robin's like, let's go to the hospital. You know, like the quacks will hash it out. And Sam's just like, no. I really like this line she says. It's like,
The bats have flown the belfry. You need to see a doctor.
I don't know why I really enjoyed that.
That's really good.
The thing is, it's Sam talking to himself, so he said this line.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should have been brave and just made Robin / this woman another facet of Sam.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rather than who she actually is. I guess she kind of is, though, isn't she? She's Sam's guilt. Right.
Yeah, but he didn't feel guilt when this happened.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be.
But she looked...
It's not possible.
She looks so much like Ruby. I can't get round that. I feel like it's... I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's still something there.
It should have been Jessica, but then it would have been too on the nose to know that it wasn't real.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it always had to be like a victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate saying that, but like it couldn't be anybody that we would recognize. Otherwise,
they couldn't do the
it would
gotcha.
break the illusion of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But like, I don't feel like they needed to draw out the gotcha either.
It was so long. The sequence is so long for this.
So long.
While all this is going on, like Sam's looking around the bar and he spots a book by H.P. Lovecraft.
So the only tie-in to that freaking episode last week, or the whatever it was.
Yeah, and it was the one that they'd mentioned in that episode, like the something in the dark. I can't remember what one it was.
Haunter.
Yes, the Haunter in the Dark. Haunter.
Ghastly.
And when he kind of like picks, like she asks if he's a horror fan, and he's like something of like something. You know, there's something about this, and he gets these flashes of Bobby and Dean and this like motel with a big owl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just before he sees that though, he's like, "There's something I'm missing, something life or death," and I was like, "Ugh." I don't know. I rolled my eyes at that line because I was like, "Yeah, we all have that feeling of like." I know I'm supposed to do something today, but I don't know what it is. And I was like, it was clear that they were going to go with like, it was life or death. I don't know. It's just obvious writing. I was just like, ugh, Kripke, do better.
Yeah, it was very cliche. Like, I will say that for this whole like, whatever, what's that movie? Memento. That's Memorandum.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very Memento. So he remembers lots of things, and he specifically remembers this motel that has a big owl, so he knows it's called the Night Owl Hotel.
That's not a bad name for a hotel, actually.
I quite like it, to be fair. So he asks for a laptop, and he like does some like Googling.
Is it called the Night Owl Hotel because he didn't sleep for a year? So he was a night owl.
I don't know.
Or was it an actual place?
I think they have stayed there before. I think I remember the owl.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong. I think I remember the owl. I love that like he asks for this laptop or whatever, and I was like, that's so Sam. He's just like immediately online. Like the Wi-Fi kicks in, and he's just like, yeah, I have to Google stuff, because of course he can Google stuff in his own brain.
Well, right, yeah, exactly. He's not really Googling stuff in his brain. He's just like searching for the memories in his brain.
Yeah, I love that. But he has to do it through a laptop. You know, he uses that as like a man.
Yeah,
so good.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, oh yeah, it exists. Like it's in 2 towns over. And she says, you think you're staying in this dump? He's like, maybe. And she says, or maybe you're a hooker, which is a line and a half to come from yourself.
Yeah, this is true.
And so Sam tries to say goodbye to this woman, and she's like, no, I'm going with you. I was like, no, never in a million years. If this was real and like not a dream, never in 1 million years would you drive the guy running from the police who came into your bar. No way would you let him take you to a secondary location. Like, what is it? What is it?
No, not with puppy dog eyes. No. And he's a giant too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it shouldn't matter, but it does.
Yeah,
it totally does. And yeah, I was like, no way would this woman ever. So it can't be real. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But she goes like, oh, you know, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't help you out. Ring the man a cab.
Exactly.
Drive him.
Yep.
I know she's not real, but look after yourself, girl. So they go to this motel and she says, where do we start? And he says, ground floor room nearest the fire escape. That's the one I'd pick for a quick getaway. And she says, how do you know that? He's like, I just do. Like he's some kind of spy or something. I think that's what we were supposed to be thinking.
Yeah.
They walk into the front door of this room they've picked, and they walk past the guy that you only see from the back, but he looks extremely like Bobby. I did note that while I was watching it too. Like I was like, why is Bobby? Oh right, yeah, okay, because obviously doesn't recognize him, but obviously it's not Bobby because he would have been like Sam.
Right.
The door is 107, and I was trying to find any kind of like thing in that, but I don't think there necessarily is.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I wonder if it's the same number as the room they went in when they were looking for John. Or was that just Dean by himself there? No, they were together. In the very first episode, I wonder what the number on the door is. Because when they walk in, that room looks like John Winchester's room in...
Yep, from that episode.
Woman in White.
Pilot.
Yeah, the pilot episode.
Yeah.
With the string and stuff. And their rooms don't really look like this. Like...
No, they don't do this kind of stuff.
It's kind of almost like the inside of Sam's brain. I think that's what it is. Like the organization of his thoughts. And it does, like I said, very reminiscent of, the way John also organized information, which makes sense because he like taught them how to do this kind of stuff, right? So their organization would look similar. But yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. I think even the layout's kind of similar with where the window is to that room as well. And also, this was written by Kripke, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was like self-referencing.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that at all.
So yeah, this girl Robin is like asking loads of questions about it, and she's like, "Oh, you know, it's very beautiful mind meets Seven," and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I talk when I'm nervous." She picks up an ID from the table, and she's like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Jimmy Page." And she's like, "Oh, and Neil Peart and Angus Young," and they're all like really obvious names for aliases for them. Sam spots a newspaper article which has Eleanor's face. It says Professor Missing. And he gets like another flash of her and who she is. And she's like grabbing her chest in an alley. And then it goes to that memory. Like it's now real life. We're getting a flashback.
Yeah.
So we see Sam, Bobby and Dean all walking down and they're looking for Dr. Vizhuk. They're ringing her phone and eventually they find her like crouched down, holding her stomach behind this like dustbin. And she just says to Bobby like,
I guess I could have used your help after all.
I feel like this could have been way sadder than it was. I don't know why. I kind of wanted it to be sadder than it was. I wanted to feel some emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt very forced.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think we've only seen them interact very briefly and we were just told they once slept together. So like, but we haven't seen any affection between them really.
Not really, no.
Other than he calls her Elle rather than Eleanor. And like didn't kill her after finding out she's a monster, I guess. So she explains that they like took her. She shows that her stomach is like, she's got a big stab wound or something. And she's like, oh, you know, the demon I could have handled, but when the angel stepped in, she's like, I told them, you know, they have enough to crack purgatory wide open. So Bobby asks like to know what they know, and she's like, it's virgin blood, which is easy for them, and also a blood of a purgatory native, and they've got plenty of that now. Dean, of course, asks if they've opened purgatory yet, and she's like, no, we need to wait for the like lunar eclipse. And then she apologizes again, and she dies apologizing, basically, just going, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. And it's a bit sad, but like, I don't know,
predictable.
Yeah, predictable. She's a woman in Supernatural who's a vague love interest for one of the characters. She was always gonna die.
She was always gonna die.
I'm still annoyed we didn't find out like what kind of monster she was. I just would have been cool. I don't know. It just would have been kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
As they stand, like Bobby kind of like respectfully closes her eyes, and we see Cass appear behind Sam and Dean, who aren't crouched on the ground. And he just says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this had to happen. Crowley got carried away." Bobby goes at him. Obviously, he's like, "I bet it was you, son of a bitch." But Sam and Dean stop him. Right. I have to address this elephant in the room of like the whole Cass and Dean situation, because I don't actually believe there is any conversation in this episode that doesn't really, when they're all together, just happen between Dean and Cass. Like, if you watch the camera in this scene, it goes, there's no Bobby and Sam, it goes Dean, Cass, Dean, Cass, Dean, Cass, and then like maybe a Bobby in there, but it was like, stop looking at each other so longingly and people won't ship you. Just saying.
Just saying. Right? And also, you have the whole like issue of like, this is supposed to be a Sam episode. Yeah. Why are we focusing so much on these two?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Anyway.
I guess the only thing I could say is that this is Sam's memory, so he's remembering how he saw it, and he's like, "Yeah, they got to stop looking at each other like that, man." Sam knew all along.
He did.
He totally did. So Dean says to Cass,
"You don't even see it, do you? How totally off the rails you are."
Whatever. I don't even know what that line is. It's like it's so soap opera. I don't know. There's something about it that's just really funny to me. And
I mean, if you look at it from Sam's point of view, he's like making it so melodramatic.
Yeah, that too. And like Cass rehashes the conversation that they had. It's clearly been a little while, I guess, because it's almost like their feelings have hardened in between the time we last saw them.
And there has to be enough time for Dr. Vijay to be declared missing.
Yes, exactly. And like the newspaper article to be written on her and stuff. So it's probably been like a few weeks at least. Mm-hmm. So Cass like,
I don't care what you think. I've tried to make you understand. You won't listen. So let me make this simple. Please go home and let me stop Raphael.
And Dean's just like, you already know the answer. So Cass says, well, I wish I hadn't come to this, but when this is all over, I will save Sam, but only if you stand down. Dean says, save Sam from what? And then Cass, like, teleports and touches Sam's temple, and you just see, like, a bright light. So that whole, like, memory ends for Sam, and he's back in the motel room with this woman. I don't want to call her woman. I swear I didn't catch her name. I'm just going to call her woman. Because I feel like they don't explicitly give you a name in Supernatural. That was a choice.
Yeah.
I think maybe he says it when he like has the other memory flashback. We'll see. So he's remembered that his name is Sam. He goes and does a Winchester wash in the bathroom.
Yep.
And splashes some water on his face. Yeah. And like this, she asks like, what do you remember? And he's like, oh, it might sound pretty strange. And she's like, oh, it couldn't get any strange. He's like, don't be so sure. He says,
I was with two guys. One was like a male model type.
And this is why people ship them.
Right.
Which I was like, no.
I know, right? Stop it. Stop putting in the... Yep.
Yeah.
And the other one was an older guy named Bobby, and he finds Bobby Singer in his address book, and he's like, oh yeah, there's no phone number, but there's an address in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which I'm guessing is far from where they are, because she's like, this is where I got to get off. And he's like, oh yeah, fine, absolutely. He spots the Impala keys on the side table, and he's like, oh, I guess I'll take my car. Your car.
Your car. I know. When he was like, this is my car. This is my car. I'm like, yeah, you wish it was your car.
Yeah.
Your brain is in your car.
That's it. Yeah. It's in Sam's mind is his car, but like only because Dean's not there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's So they find the Impala, and Sam's like, that's mine. And when she says, like, are you sure? He's like, oh, yeah.
I would have found it so much funnier if it was Solace Sam's car that was in his head.
Yeah, that would have been good. Or, like, we think it's going to be that a really good fake out of, like, we see the Impala and then, like, parked behind it is like a Prius or something. He's like, that's mine. Like, that would have been so on brand for Sam. But, like, to be emotional for a second, the Impala is their home, right? Of course, he would recognize it even when he doesn't have any memories. You know, it's
That's
the
true.
car. So, yeah, like, she's going to go off, and he's like, it's fine, you've done enough for me. And she's like, well, you know, I've got a bad feeling about all of this, but, like, whatever you're looking for, you might not like what you find. And Sam says, what other choice do I have? He hears, like, a gun cock, and while she's talking, she's saying, like, oh, you know, you could stick around for a bit longer. And then he, like, pushes her out the way, and the Impala's window gets, like, shot in, which I'm pretty sure immediately fixes, because I don't remember it being shattered in any other shot in this episode. Apart from...
I think as they're driving, it is, like, fluttering her hair, but I don't really recall.
Oh, yeah, probably right, actually. So, yeah, he saves her life. And...
Always the hero.
Always the hero, even in his own mind.
Yep.
And as he looks to see who shot them, oh my God, it's Sam!
What?
And Robin starts shouting, Sam! Sammy! And then we, like, kind of fade into Dean going, Sammy! Sammy! in the panic room. And we see, oh yes, of course, it's all a dream. And what he's hearing is Dean shouting for him in Bobby's panic room.
Yeah.
He always comes back here. I feel like that should be Sam's never escaping the narrative. He always seems to end up back in Bobby's panic room. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why nothing ever happens to him after this story arc, because Bobby's not in the later seasons, so they don't have the panic room to go into, so he can't be stuck in that narrative anymore.
That's so true. He escaped. He escaped with the death of Bobby, his father figure. That might be saying something. I'm not sure.
I will say this. I did like the use of, like, what are the things that are happening outside of Sam's body going into his brain, like it is a dream, and like he is in a coma and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I did appreciate that. I thought that was a good use of music, I guess, mostly.
Yeah, because, like, they're playing it on the radio. It's playing with Fire by the Rolling Stones, which was a really nice choice of music, actually. There's something really, like, smooth about that, kind of really enjoyed. And the fact that it's, like, playing in the car. So I really like that as well. I agree with you.
So we see Dean pacing, like, you know, like a caged tiger, basically. Yeah. And Bobby walks in and asks if, you know, Sam, if there's been any changes.
I can't just sit here, Bobby. I've got to help him. Dean, Dreamscape is noggin something.
You know what Cass did? The dam inside your brother's head is gone.
And Dean's like, I don't care. Just do something. I again, the whole issue with, like, supernatural and time. Like,
yeah.
They kind of did this at the end of season 5 too, where they suddenly had, like, they could make a couple of weeks pass in between 2 episodes, and then suddenly, like, you're in the crunch time, but, like, we could have had time to see what was going on in those other 2 weeks.
There's some really weird stuff going on with time in this episode, like, especially, like, near the end as well, because it's just like, how do people get places? Like, it's yeah.
You're right about that. Yeah, you're really right about that. Because we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there in a second. So there's 16 hours until Purgatory's going to open, and, you know, they're already down 1, and they can't afford to be down 2. But you already are down 2, because all Dean's doing is sitting in the room. He's not researching. He's not looking for anything. Like, he's literally just worrying about Sam. So he is down 2.
I kind of can't believe in some way that, like, Cass did that. Like, do you know what I mean? Because the one thing to, like, get them off his back would be to, like, distract them with Sam. Like, yeah, but it's the self-confidence of like him saying like, I will fix this. It's you know, it's temporary. Yeah. I just...
The thing is, Cass just did exactly what Crowley did in the last episode.
Yeah.
Apart from he didn't do it to somebody who was so defenseless.
And I think we're supposed to see it that way as well. Like, oh, wow, look how far he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, this is a lot. That's a real betrayal to mess with Sam's head.
Which is where we shouldn't have started in Sam's head in this episode. We needed to see the time pass of the end of last week's episode or last time's episode and this one, because we don't know how desperate Cass has gotten to get into purgatory. We haven't seen how Cass is now being pursued so heavily or whatever. Like, we have to just make all of this stuff up.
And this is what I meant actually, that the flashback, Cass saying that line and touching Sam's head could have well been the end of last episode, and that would have been such a cliffhanger to go into the finale with, of like, what did you do to Sam? You know? And obviously everyone's thinking like, oh yeah, the wall, and you know, people online would have been like, no, there's no way he would have done that. Like, I feel like it would have been a real cliffhanger going into this. And then you could have easily started with like Sam running and stuff and thinking, wow, what did Cass do? I don't know. I think it would have worked a bit more effectively, but that's just me.
Right. Instead of going after Dr. Vizak at the end.
Yeah. Well, we could have shown like, I don't know. This is the problem, right? Because they squished everything into these last like 3 episodes. If they just given themselves a little bit more space, I feel like they could have told the same story, but better. Because it's not bad. Like, the idea about like opening purgatory and the betrayal from Cass and like, Sam's wall and stuff, like it's all cool. Like, it's all good stuff. It's just season 6 it's just so badly paced, I think, that it seems like it's not good.
Yeah, and that's what we keep coming back to. I will say that, like, we've spoken at length about how badly paced this season is,
and it's never been more evident than in this episode, because there's so much meat here, and you're just not able to focus on it for any of that. It moves so quickly, and you have to try and take it all in. Well, this could have been stretched out. Like, there was no... Like, I can easily think how this could have been pulled out. I think part of it is them finding their feet after season 5. I do think that they, like, we've talked about this again at length. They didn't really know where it was going, and I feel like they maybe didn't make some of those decisions until the back end of season 6, which is why it feels like that. Because season 7, I feel, is much better paced, because I feel they got on like an even keel. I'm going to eat those words. I know I am.
Well, I feel like the big difference is that we are introduced to the Leviathan not halfway through the season. I think. I can't remember. I do feel like it's earlier in the season. So that you get to see how the Leviathan have affected the world, and how, which is what we're missing in this season. Yeah,
and we've said that a lot, right? We don't really understand big picture stuff on this. It's kept very close. Like, things that are immediately affecting the brothers. I said we're not even really shown how it's affecting Cass, or that this is like kind of all on him. All we've been shown is that very quick bit of his, like, the episode of The Man Who Would Be King, to see how any of this is affecting him and maybe like the wider net of people / angels. So I could go at length about, I think, some of the things they've been missing in season 6. I think we have.
You just got to find all of those rants and put it together, and you'll get it. And I wonder if it's a bit of a response to how the last 5 seasons went, that it became such a big picture look versus it's just about the brothers. So they tried to bring it back to just being about the brothers, but like, they didn't do it well.
It doesn't feel right, because it is bigger than them, right? And at the end of season 5, we were kind of getting big picture stuff. There were things in the news, in the backgrounds of screens, about like fires and stuff, and they went to that town where like everyone had been, like that kind of stuff. That was what was missing from this season, I think. You know, where we see definitely. Like I guess even like things that could have actually been that kind of thing, like with with Eve taking over that whole town, was still very close. It was ultimately all took place in that police station and the diner, and we only really saw like very small. It's kind of his how Supernatural do go about those kinds of things. Though they do bring it into like personal stories. Does that make sense? Like small little bits with people. I don't know, but I think that's the problem is we only got that little bit, and like not suddenly loads of people have been going missing in this city, and like it must be vampires or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right. And like the whole alpha thing kind of got laid to the wayside. The whole like human trafficking vampire sexploitation got put to the wayside. The whole skinwalker, your pets might be humans, got pushed aside. Like none of those things really got any form of resolution, even though Eve is dead.
Yeah.
And like even when Tara was explaining her like the control that Eve had over them, that was nothing like we've seen. I mean, I guess she didn't come out of purgatory. We never saw her effect on monsters outside when she came out of purgatory.
Yeah.
But like clearly she's sending messages out because that's how she got the dragons to get her out. And she was saying that, you took so much time, we've got work to do. So it's just that whole thing just it had such I've said this so many times, but it had such potential to go somewhere. And like the whole thing with Samuel Campbell, like he was in so many episodes and yet that led nowhere. He just died.
All these like dead ends. Yeah, I think that's it. It's all these dead ends.
Yeah.
Like, this could be cool. This could be a storyline. No. They're either gonna die or we're never gonna mention that again. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. I do feel like Rick Worthing comes back probably to get rid of the Leviathan, because I'm pretty sure all the purgatory monsters, all the monsters don't like the Leviathan, because they're kind of like, we're the big honcho now because Eve is dead, like Mother is dead. It's it's the exact same situation that's happening in heaven. Like
it's just the same thing over and over again. Yeah, like problems with parental figures. What can we say?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is why it's really funny when you see like parents and children at like a convention together. You're like, you watch this show together and you're fine. Good. Like what?
Nobody ever asked Kripke about his relationship with his father. Like I feel like it must have come up in some interviews, because the boys as well.
Oh, yes.
Like
yeah,
I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're going fine.
Absolutely fine. So back into the episode.
So sorry.
Dean tells Bobby to just, go find everybody. Go find Crowley, go find Cass. Balthazar's MIA, they can't get hold of him. And Bobby points out, like, this is exactly what Cass wants you to fall to pieces. You have to try and think of what Sam would want. And they're sharing a glass of a bottle of whiskey between them. He's like,
find Cass, Bobby. Find him now.
This is like, what do you think he's doing?
Like, he's obviously doing it. But again, because I watched this with my husband, I'm sorry for mentioning it so many times. He said at this point, oh yeah, that'll make the situation better. Alcohol.
Obviously.
Like, have you not watched this show? Of course it will.
So they're driving along a road and Sam's like, do you smell whiskey? And again, the song's playing on the radio too. So it's really like showing how much the outside world is affecting Sam at this point. So Robin's like, who was shooting at us? He's like, I don't know, and she's like, we should go to the cops. And Sam's like, no, like going to my friends they can help. I want to know if these are some of the conversations that he had with her in his time as Soulless Sam, and that's because it doesn't feel quite natural the way they're talking about going to Bobby's.
I don't know. I think it's more just showing that Sam does really believe that, like, if he can just get just get to Bobby and Dean, like it will all sort itself out. And I think that is quite Sam in a way. Like, I just need to go find them and then we can figure it out together. Yeah, I think that's what that is. I don't think he knew this girl at all. I think the only interaction they had was probably what we saw.
More than likely. Yeah, more than likely. So Sam is adamant that this woman is, or Robin is, safer with him. And she's like, you're scaring me right now. And we get a quick shot of back in the panic room where Dean shines a light in Sam's eyes, I guess just to make sure he's still responsive and like still in there. And he, like, in dreamland, Sam swerves because it's suddenly bright and it's now daytime. Like, before it was nighttime. This is the only time I'll accept the change of weirdness in time because of this thing happening. And like, fine. It was very reminiscent of Mystery Spot.
Yes.
What? No way.
What was that?
What do you mean? It's daylight.
Yeah.
It was night, and now it's day.
Love him.
And Robin's like, it was always day. Like, he's like, no, it wasn't. It was night. Like, what's going on? And Robin starts to leave, and Sam again like convinces her to like stay in the car, because he like nods his head towards the woods as if he knows something's in there, but like he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, I guess it's just an instinct. He's like, I know another part of my soul is nearby. Like,
Oh yeah.
I can run as much as I can.
Yeah,
but like
that makes sense.
him running through the woods, I was like, oh, this is totally purgatory right now.
It 100%. I'm almost sure that it's the same woods. Like, almost.
Yeah.
It's definitely the same woods that Balthazar met Cass in.
Oh yeah, for
That
sure.
stream
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, it's definitely the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All I could think about when he gets to the stream was like, oh, follow the stream, you'll get to where you need to be, like they do in heaven. But no, that doesn't happen. I was like, oh,
Wow.
this is it. This is what you get to see. So Sam goes to the back of the car and he like opens up the trunk and he sees all the weapons and like instinctively grabs his shotgun and his handgun.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought he grabbed Dean's
I thought so
handgun.
too, but it's not. It's definitely his.
Yeah, it is his. I know he didn't grab Dean's shotgun because that's the one that gets used to prop up the inside of the hidden compartment. He then sort of walks into the forest, and we pass like a tree where Soulless Sam is like pressed up against, but we're following regular Sam, and it's just like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then they come face to face, and it's Soulless Sam. It's clearly Soulless Sam.
Yeah. And I will say this. I think the acting was really good here. Like, you can definitely tell the difference between Sam and Soulless Sam in just even their like facial expressions is really good. I think also it's interesting,
And the
like
postures.
the way, the posture and the way they're dressed. There's something about Sam's little brown like 1970s jacket that he's wearing. You're like, yeah, that's Sam Winchester.
Yeah. Like a bit of camouflage in the woods kind of thing, like trying to hide a little bit.
The fact that it's like corduroy. I don't know why, but that like there's something. I don't know. I'm always very surprised they just didn't put like straight up just put Sam in some flares. Like I feel like he would rock those so hard. Like, he's already got kind of like a 1970s look going on, right, with the shirts and the jacket that he wears, like, more so than Dean, I feel. I just feel like some bell-bottom jeans would have absolutely made that outfit, and I'm really surprised they never did it.
Yeah. Maybe they just didn't make them long enough.
Yeah. Someone who's really good at drawing. I want Sam Winchester in his, like, hippie shirt, bell-bottom jeans. Yeah, I can see it because he's already got the hair and like the Farrah Fawcett.
I was going to say
like,
season 8 hair
with the sideburns. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sam and Soulless Sam have like a little bit of back to forth for Sam to realize what's going on. He's like, yeah, you're dreaming. Congratulations. There was something about Soulless Sam that was very similar to Lucifer Sam.
Yes, and because I didn't remember this episode, I did think at some point one of the Sams is going to reveal himself to be Lucifer. Like,
Me too. The next one I thought was going to be Lucifer, but obviously it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think it should have been.
I think it should have been as well. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But
especially because of what happens in the next sort of few seasons, because you see that he is being haunted by Lucifer now that the wall is broken.
Yeah, that we could have totally had that I don't know if they maybe couldn't get Mark Pellegrino, but that could have been a cool cameo. When he maybe shoots the last Sam just before he regains consciousness, it's just a flash of Mark Pellegrino's face as Lucifer. That would have been right. And we would have been oh, yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have even needed to get him on set to do that. They could have just used previous footage, actually. So
that's very true. Yeah. I mean, I guess they didn't know what they were going to do with that, with Lucifer and all of that. So fine. But yeah, I feel like that should have been a third aspect because that's another part of his. I mean, I guess. Yeah, because all of this is a hunt for his memories.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all it is. They have a standoff and they turn and walk around each other. Soulless Sam is just overly confident in himself.
I was sharp, strong. That is, till they crammed your soul back in. Now look at you. Same misty-eyed milksop you always were.
Sam manages to get away, and he sort of gets down by a stream, and we then follow Soulless Sam, who spots his jacket and shoots twice. Sam does the whole peekaboo, I'm behind you, and shoots him twice. This is another line that I was like, well, surely Lucifer is going to be in here somewhere, because he's like,
you think I'm bad? Wait till you meet the other one.
But I guess he's talking about bad memories. I took it as, because I forgot that these were memories, I thought he was talking about oh, you think I was bad as a person, trying to kill you?
I agree. Yeah. I guess that is kind of, again, another kind of gotcha moment. Are you supposed to think that way? But it's not right. You think the memories that you have, because I always thought people make a big deal out of Sam kind of holding on to these memories from hell, just like Dean does. But obviously Sam's got way more than he was there for 1,000 odd years or whatever. But he's also has to live with the year that he was soulless, and we know that innocent people died and that he hurt a lot of people. And it must have almost been a year of almost being possessed, not recognizing his own actions. And
that's true.
How much of a trauma that would be for Sam to kind of carry with him. And I'm interested, because this is so bad. I've never really focused on Sam much as a character, in later seasons. But it'd be interesting to see how his actions change based on now having these memories. The choices that
and if they change.
And if they change, and if it kind of changes the kind of choices that he would make that maybe we wouldn't normally expect. I don't know. Maybe I'm expecting too much from character development.
I think, unfortunately, I do think so, because he's always been the let's choose the righteous path. Let's try and hear people out and not kill a monster for being a monster kind of thing. Which is where the Soulless Sam is such a deviation from that, and that's a switch. So when he comes back, he would go back to his normal self, but again, watching out for it will be good, but I don't think he ever swings to the other extreme where he tries to save all monsters or whatever,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I wonder if he just becomes, in a way, more Sam, the Sam we know, because he has those memories, coloring his experience of well, I know what I'm like when I'm not myself, so I need to be more of myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Yeah. This I do remember, and I'm thinking of this is because it probably plays a lot in the recaps later on. Because once the Soulless Sam dies, a blue light, kind of grace.
I thought it was
goes into.
You said it earlier that it's parts of his soul. It's that soul light. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is his soul light. Yeah. And in the real world, Sam is seizing on the bed. and like convulsing, and Dean's like, Summer, Sam.
This was some great work. I don't know why I found this so silly. I think I can't get over now sometimes imagining them having to act it and how much they must have been taking to like absolutely stab each other.
Because he has to like keep a sort of neutral face, but like still like contort his body in ways.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
it was good. I enjoyed it.
So good. Yeah. Sam then runs back to the car, and Robin stood outside of it now. And he's like, I remember who I am. I remember everything I did in the past year, and I remember you. And it flashes back to Robin. Yeah, so she's never her name is never mentioned. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, it must have been in the credits. It must have been. Yeah.
Yep. So they're in the bar, and Soulless Sam is confronting a demon, and the demon threatens Robin's life, and instead he just shoots her, and she falls to the ground.
Yeah.
So back into the dreamscape world, and you see the blood seep into Robin's shirt, and she's like, I did tell you to turn back, that you wouldn't like what you'd found. And Sam apologizes to her, and she says, not as sorry as you're gonna be, and then she disappears. I don't like this at all.
Fair.
I think it was silly. I was like, oh, she's supposed to be like his conscience, like telling him to turn back and like, you don't want to do this, but like she doesn't have the power because she's unfortunately a nobody, and it is proven that she's a nobody because her name never gets mentioned. Yeah. It needed to be somebody else, but they couldn't do this whole reveal if it was somebody else. And I feel like he should have had that conscience telling him to turn back the entire time.
Yeah, it's difficult because the guilt is directly linked to the Soulless Sam thing, so it has to be someone who he like killed in that year. But I feel like he has so much guilt, especially around like women, that he like that Sam needs to confront. That I think she is just a manifestation of that, but obviously again she has to be someone who was in that year that he didn't have the memories for. Okay, fine, but I feel like she should have also been absorbed. I think he should have absorbed that guilt.
Yeah, exactly. There's no was it absolution from his guilt? Like she just says you're not as sorry as you're gonna be. Like that's not accepting your guilt. That's not moving past your guilt. That's just being like, well, you're gonna feel worse.
But then again, that's Sam, right? We're in Sam's head. Like he doesn't forgive himself.
Yeah.
So why would she forgive him, right? And
true.
Ultimately, he thinks because he's nothing if not a martyr that he kind of deserves whatever's coming for him because he was a bad guy when he was Soulless Sam, even though he kind of couldn't help it because he didn't have a soul. It's very confusing, guilty feelings, and I do often feel like we're saying how like Sam acts. I think he often acts from a place of guilt. Like Sam's almost sorry sometimes for existing, right? I feel like that's part of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like because of the whole thing with Azazel and the fact that, you know, he's alive. Well, he's not alive because of a demon deal, but like he kind of is as well, right? He exists as himself as he is because of that. So guilt is always like a major factor in a lot of things he does. Whereas for Dean, it's often fear. Like he acts because he's scared of things. Like he's scared of losing things. Whereas I don't think Sam's scared of losing things. I think he's scared of like being a disappointment.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's interesting how they are, like they often compared, but they're like really, really are different people. Like they act from different places of like stress, and it does often show in the choices that they make. And I don't necessarily think Sam gets a fair shot of like explaining who he is during Supernatural. I really don't think they dig into it as much because like he doesn't seem like as complex a character as Dean, but I actually think he is.
So the problem is that Dean has a character he can bounce off of to reflect what he has going on,
Yeah.
right? So he has Cass to
Absolutely.
like get through his deal.
Yeah.
Like, whereas Sam doesn't. Like, he used to have Dean, but Dean's not. I think after season 4 and all of their betrayals, it never really got repaired. Like, they still love each other. They're still very much close and still brothers, but like, Sam isn't going to turn to Dean in the same way that he did now that Cass is in the picture.
It does. I agree with you somewhat. I think that does repair itself over the seasons. I think by the time they get to like later seasons, they're like so close. They almost think together. Like when they come up with stuff, they're very much like work in tandem. And I think that rift does heal eventually, I think. But I do agree with you as well that it does exist. But you're right, they just have someone to bounce off of. Like, he doesn't have a... Cass is basically a manifestation of Dean's, like, self-sacrificial tendencies, right? Because Cass is constantly sacrificing himself for Dean in the way that Dean sacrifices himself for everyone else. And, like, ultimately, that's how he dies. But there isn't anyone like that for Sam. But I think that's also kind of true to his character. Sam kind of does have to be self-sufficient. Like, obviously he's got Dean, but he was kind of born and raised to be this leader of demons or whatever. And he's always kind of stood kind of head and shoulders and like leading people. And ultimately that's where he kind of ends up, right? Alone.
Yeah.
This is so sad. I'm making myself like sad. But like it's true. Like he ultimately never. Sam learns time after time that he can't really rely on anyone. He can't really rely on Dean because like Dean goes and does Dean things and like makes deals and like takes on the mark of Cain and does all this stuff that like Sam's like, why are you doing this? Like I should be able to trust you to not do these things, and you constantly keep doing them. So it kind of makes sense for him to be by himself, and that's why Eileen was good for him. Because she was someone that like he could almost be in sync with for once, like someone who didn't rely on him for protection
and relied on herself. Because she also learned to be a hunter with a disability by herself.
Exactly. Like she didn't need Sam. Like he often saw himself as like protecting women, right? He even says it to this one here, like, oh, you're safer with me. Ruby, he thought he was helping her out, that he had to protect her from her like big bad demon bosses and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
That he couldn't save Jessica. So like, yeah. But yeah, Eileen didn't really need protecting. So that's why she was good for him. Sam and Eileen forever. Should probably get back to the
episode. Okay. So back in the panic room, Bobby brings Balthazar down and he's like, oh, look what the cat dragged in. And Balthazar points out that they now have the angel proofing correct. I don't know how that happened, but sure. So Balthazar says like,
I was having second thoughts.
About
whether to help you. I was thinking maybe I should rip out your sticky bits instead.
And what did you decide?
Balthazar then hands Dean a piece of paper, and Dean's like, okay, great, give us a minute to pack and you take us there. And Balthazar's like, no, I don't think so. Like I'm betraying a friend here, a very, very powerful friend. We all are. So I think I've stuck my neck out enough for you already. Good luck. And he like disappears. Yeah. We then cut to the lab where I think it's funny that they left the crack in the wall. I feel like that says something, but I'm not going to go into the critique of a set piece because it probably means nothing. Anyway, and Crowley gives the concoction of blood to Cass. It's like purgatory power shake, monsieur. Half monster, half virgin. Always with the virgins. Always with the virgins. Again, Crowley in this episode.
You seem even more constipated than usual. Maybe get you some colon blow?
No, let's not do that.
The angel's poop.
Don't know what it is. I don't think so. So Cass just casually says, I'm renegotiating our terms. Do you think Cass is collecting souls still at this point from like other sources? Like, is he taking on angel grace and things like that? Because like he is very confident right now.
I really don't know. I think he's just so far down the line. I think Cass has always been able to smite Crowley. Like, he's always been more powerful than him, because I know Crowley's King of Hell. Like, I know he has that power, but I don't think it actually maybe translates into actual power, you know, like as in being able to fight. So I think Cass has always been able to smite him, and it's just been like, there's never been, their relationship has always been imbalanced, and Cass is just exploiting that imbalance here. I that's what I think it is.
And basically the new terms is that Crowley gets nothing.
You think I'm handing all that power to the King of Hell? I'm neither stupid nor wicked.
That's a great line, actually.
I really liked that. It sounded very biblical. I don't know why. Just the way he delivered it was like, you're old.
Crowley's like, unbelievable. Have you forgotten what? You're the bottom in this relationship. It's like, no.
No.
No. I don't know what you're talking about, Crowley. Not even close. And again, this line delivery from Cass is just like, here are your options: either flee or die. And Crowley starts to panic a little bit. He's like, we made a pact. I don't break contracts like this. And he's like, flee or die. And Crowley's like, you can't trust anybody these days, and like disappears. So I didn't catch that this was Bobby's house, just because it doesn't really look like it, because it's all covered in like sheets and like it's all candlelit. I honestly thought this was where they opened the cage originally for Lucifer to come out.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool. And I agree with you. I did know it was Bobby's house. It's the kitchen. I can't unsee it. But yeah, that would have been good as well.
And it's all this was incredibly dark, and it was done on purpose. And you just see like this person. Well, no, you don't even see the person. You see this desk, and you just see these hands on the desk with a knife next to it. It's visually, it's an amazing like spectacle, and I just wish we had more time with that. And like, I think back to, I think it was season 2. Where we get Dean as a demon, and he's like yelling at Dean, like, this is what you're always going to end up. I was just like, this was kind of Sam's version of that, but it was much more like, I think we had indifference from Soulless Sam. We had extreme sadness from Tortured Sam. We needed the anger. I think that was kind of missing, like the injustice of it all.
Yeah, I feel like there's always like a line missing of like almost like a reflection of what Lucifer said in the end of like, this is where you always end up. I feel like this Sam who's been to hell and remembers hell should have been like, you know, you have to accept it, Sam. Like, this is where we were always gonna end up. I don't think that would have been like a really nice like, I don't know, bookend to this whole arc of like, this was always going to happen. Like, everything else has just been temporary. The wall, like being soulless, like you were always going to get possessed by Lucifer. You were always going to end up like, this was always going to happen to you. And it's kind of sad and tragic. But then I think when we get to the next season, we see Sam like kind of overcome that. That's where you get like the good character arc.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So Sam is like, the Tortured Sam's like, oh, hey, like he's very, like his voice is very weak. He's, you know, not doing well, obviously. And Sam just says, which one are you? And he says, Tortured Sam says, don't you know? And he like stands up, and he's covered in blood and just completely tortured. He says,
Don't you know? I'm the one that remembers hell.
I guess maybe he takes on the aspects like the way that they talk on the bring on the aspects of like their personalities in kind of a way, because like Soulless Sam was very arrogant and like, oh, I know what's going on, you don't know what's going on, well done, you figured it out, oh good for you, you're so pathetic, like all this, that and the other, not really indicating that it was a memory, whereas this one is just like, I'm just going to tell you what I am because I'm tired. Like, you just need this to stop. Like, I'm the one that remembers hell. Like, that's why he doesn't fight. That's why he doesn't do anything. He's just like, he's
resigned. Like, he's a broken version of Sam, you know? The cage broke him. It literally broke his brain.
Yeah.
So, of course, like, he's resigned. This memory version of him, like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like that bookend would have been really nice about the whole, like, this was always going to happen. Because this is Sam's story, right? He was always supposed to get possessed by Lucifer. And to kind of see the person he would become after that is devastating. It didn't feel like a very devastating moment. And I think it should have been more devastating. And I don't know how. I'm not sure about that, but like, to see like the culmination, that's like 5 seasons of work you've put into this moment, right? Of him meeting himself after Lucifer. I don't know.
Yeah, because who's to say that like his soul would have survived the apocalypse, right? Like, maybe, like you're saying, maybe this was always meant to happen, that his soul would always be torn apart by Lucifer as Lucifer took over.
You never know. Like, this is what, I don't know, it's just really cool. Just pack it up.
But again, they weren't thinking about souls, they weren't thinking about any of this stuff when they were writing like the story arc. So when you start putting in all these like little extra bits, you want to go back and just be like, oh, this could have been
it's
just elevated, and then this would have made
it's the rewatch. It does this too. It's like like, oh, it's really so good if you just I don't get this with any other show, by the way.
We're cursed with knowledge.
Like, I can watch other shows and rewatch them, and I don't get the same thing of like, if you've just done, I don't know what it is about Supernatural. I'm not sure. Yes. So Bobby is back in the panic room, and he's packing up, and he's telling Dean like, look, come on, we gotta go. You know, Sam's not getting any better. We gotta go. You know, stop another apocalypse, I guess. Dean like.
Oh, I didn't mention actually where they were gonna go.
Oh yeah, I didn't spot the piece of paper. What did it say?
So it was somewhere called Bootback, Kansas.
Yeah.
Which I have no like. So the way that they reacted to the address was like, oh, we've been here before, and I wonder if it was that the house that Balthazar was in, like when they first met Balthazar.
Was it not the place? Was it not just the place where Crowley was keeping monsters that like Cass said he cleared out? Was it not just there?
No.
That big building? I thought it was the same building.
No, because it's like a house. It's not like a...
I know, I thought it looked like a facility. I don't think it was a house.
I don't know, because it had like that weird like base... I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe it was.
And I'm probably wrong. So I'm saying this like I'm confident, but I'm not. I think is this the same place that they went to where Cass burned Crowley's bones? But like, if it
that would make the most sense.
If it is there, why didn't they look there? Because they knew they were in cahoots, and they knew that was Crowley's old base, and like, it would mean that they've been hiding under their nose this whole time, which is maybe why they look at the piece of paper and go like, "Oh, of course." Okay, I don't know though.
No, neither do I. Yeah, I didn't really pay it. Like, it wasn't until reading through this that I was like, "Oh, that's where they went." Yeah. Okay, fine.
So Dean stands over Sam and he's like, all right, this is where we're going to be, Sam. And he's like, get your lazy ass out of bed and come meet us, please. And he puts the piece of paper down next to him with like Sam's gun on the top. Yep. Back in Sam's head, he's talking to his like hell self, and he's saying like, oh, you know, I wish you hadn't come. And Sam's like, well, you know, I had to, right? I'm here. That's why he's in Bobby's house. It's because his physical body is there. Yes, got it.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm at Bobby's, aren't I? And he's like, how do you know? I've smelt nothing but Old Spice and whiskey. Like, I figured if I get back here, back to my body, I could like snap out of it somehow.
But first, you have to go through me. Why? Humpty Dumpty has to put himself back together again before he can wake up. And I'm the last piece.
To which I did say, oh, well, Sam isn't that complex a person if he's only 3 pieces, but I understand now that it's memories. So I'll stop being mean to Sam. And Sam's like, oh, you know, it means I have to know what happened in the cage. And like tortured hell, Sam says, you don't want to know it. And they kind of have this like thing of, he's like, you could just stay here, you know, go back to that bartender, go find Jess, but like, don't do this. Like, you're not strong enough. Which is Sam saying that to himself. Which is, again.
Yeah. And we have said this about how people sometimes perceive him as well. So it is kind of like, oh no, you took it on. You are strong enough. You can do it.
You can do it, Sam. Just believe in yourself. So
I know we don't talk about you very much, but like, you can do it.
Because Sam's like, oh, you know, we'll just have to see. And he's like, you know me, I'm not leaving my brother alone out there. And that is the part of Sam that is correct, right? Like he knows that ultimately he's going to do what he needs to do. He has a resolve sometimes that I think Dean sometimes is lacking. I think Dean's sometimes too ready to give up on stuff. Where Sam's like, no, I have to. Sometimes. I have to save the world. But more importantly, I have to save my brother. So like Hell Sam walks towards him. He like picks up the knife. And although like Sam points the gun at him, he just says like, I'm not going to fight you. But this is your last chance. Sam resigned, lowers his gun, and then like tortured Hell Sam says, good luck, you're gonna need it. Sam stabs other Sam. This is so hard to say, in the stomach, and he dies quite anticlimactically. And again, we see like a part of his soul get released back into Sam, and in the panic room he's like sort of like having a seizure or whatever, or again like convulsing, that's the word. So Crowley's lab. The set piece, they used it a lot, which is why it's so confusing, and I do kind of love it, to be fair. It's a good set.
And I think this is also why I got confused at where Ben and why I thought Ben and Lisa were in here in this panic room, is because they are set up in a similar way, as in like Dean has to come out of a door at the top and come down some stairs. Like literally as simple as that my brain was like, oh yeah, it's the same place. Probably. Because they have to do the same action.
It probably is. It's just a room with some stairs, so it probably is the same room. It's just dressed it differently. So yeah, it's nighttime now again. It's been always nighttime. This is where time gets funky, because how long did it take them to get from South Dakota to Kansas? I don't know how far that is. Is that far?
No.
Okay, then Crowley, why would you put your lab right next to Bobby's house?
Because it's right underneath your nose. I actually want to look this up real quick.
Look how far it is, please. Yeah, we're Googling this. Stand by. I'll do some music.
6 hours.
6 hours.
7 hours. 6 or 7 hours. They have to go through Nebraska. Oh, God. At least. And that's just assuming that you're going from the south of South Dakota to the north of Kansas. I didn't look at
where the actual people were.
Cities.
Yeah. Crazy. Because they only had 16 hours. How long's it been? How long has it been?
It took 7 hours to get. And how did Sam walk that entire way?
How is it not daytime? Right? Because didn't they? Right. Yeah. No, I'm working out the maths here. They found Eleanor Vizjuk in the daytime, right? And it was in that scene they said we've only got 16 hours, whatever, till the next lunar eclipse, right? I think that's right. Mm-hmm. So 16 hours from daytime is, in fact, I believe, still daytime. Just go through a night, but I feel like it would be daytime. I guess unless it was the morning. Yeah. I feel like it was early afternoon.
Where did we say it was? It was, yeah, it was definitely not like end of, like, it wasn't first thing in the morning. No. That's for sure.
It was not. So yeah, all I'm saying is I think it should still be daytime.
I agree.
But yeah, it's fine, I guess. So yes, anyway, it's night.
It's night. Fine.
And they're outside this building. There's loads of like angels. We know they're angels because they're wearing suits. Fine. Cass is sat in the lab brooding over his jar of blood, and Balthazar appears, and he's been summoned by Cass.
Yeah, we have a problem. Dean Winchester is on his way here.
You know Dean's in trouble because he used his full name.
He did. Yeah. Yeah.
And Balthazar is, all angels are terrible liars. This is his face.
Which is weird because Balthazar has been lying for a lot of this and he's been somewhat okay.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, how did he even know where we are? And Cass says, well, you know, we have a Judas in our midst. And Balthazar's like, oh, holy hell, who is it? I bet it's that bloody little cherub, isn't it? I don't know what that was.
That was a very good impression.
Thank you. And Cass is like, well, you know, I don't know, but I need you to find out. And Cass is like, I'll handle Dean, essentially.
Yeah.
Balthazar asks Cass if he's okay, and he says,
First Sam and Dean, and now this. I'm doing my best in impossible circumstances. My friends, they abandon me. They plot against me. It's difficult to understand.
oh, this is so sad, man. And Balthazar's like, well, you've always got me. And Cass like teleports behind him and just stabs him through the chest from behind. And he says, yes, I'll always have you. And Balthazar says, Cass. He dies. One thing, right, we were robbed of seeing Balthazar's wings staining that lab through the whole of the next few scenes.
So he says, I always have you. I think he absorbed his grace after he killed him.
Maybe he did. Maybe you're right. I think you're right. Because there's no wings, there's no body of Balthazar. Because there should have been a reaction to that. Like, as Bobby and Dean came in, they should have seen dead Balthazar and been like, shit. Yeah.
What happened?
Like, where are the wings? I just feel like Balthazar was wrong, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he absorbed him. Okay, yeah, I'm going with that.
I think he did.
Cass, stop eating people.
This, again, I know we spent already quite a few minutes on it in this episode already, but like this line from Cass saying like, first Sam and Dean, now this, I'm doing my best in impossible circumstances, my friends, they abandoned me. This line should have been shown over 2 episodes. Like, I know we've seen Rachel portray Cass, but we didn't see Rachel in anything else. Like, who cares? Like, you know, we needed to see that his rebellion is falling apart.
Yes,
and that there are fractions within his army that are starting to go against him because they're finding out that he's working with a demon, and the fallout of that.
Because we get very immediate whiplash from the man who would be king to this. Because we're like, yeah, he's a sympathetic figure. I understand why he's doing this. Like, he's trying to stop the apocalypse and the civil war. And then, yeah, you know, he does see Sam and Dean not joining him as a betrayal. And that seems to apparently tip him over the edge quite hard, right? Because that's what we see from our point of view. It's that, like, that was the catalyst for him becoming like this.
Right.
And, like, fully on, I guess, like a bad path. And I think you're right, there's a bit that's missing in between of seeing his whole part of the Civil War start to break down as more and more people realize that he's either like working with a demon or that he's changing in some way, or like there's just something that's missing for him, going from a very sympathetic character to suddenly like murdering people who are his friends.
Yes. And especially since like I think of Cass's first introduction to Balthazar in this season, and he's like, I thought you were dead. Like, I thought I lost you in the war. And like, it was so long ago, and like, you've been hidden from me. Like, to then so crassly, carelessly, emotionlessly, like, kill him and take him on in that kind of, like, I do think he absorbed, because it was an off-screen death.
Yeah, it was an off-screen death. Yeah, you're totally right. I guess like, yeah, he totally got like nommed. That's really good. I never really thought of it that way. Yeah. But it explains why there's no body, no wings. Yeah, if he just got eaten. Cass really is just an eldritch horror in the body of a small man. Not even that small. But you know what I mean? Like, he really is. I like that a lot. But yeah, I do feel like it's too much whiplash. Like, I can't go from loving Cass to being like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, I can see where his friends abandoned him, right? Balthazar and Sam and Dean. But like, nobody's really plotting against him, because they're all, yes, they're trying to stop him, but they're not trying to stop him in a way that's like, we have to kill you. And it's more like, we're trying to make sure that you're not going to die.
I think this is what's missing, is that we needed to see, like, kind of every time, like a few times that Sam or Dean like called for him and he was in the middle of something really super important. So like, he's full on like fighting loads of guys, and we hear like them call for him, and it's over like them looking up a monster or whatever, and you see him have to like go in, like sort it out, and then go back to fighting or whatever, to understand how stressful it's been for him. And you could then kind of understand like the layers of like, I'm doing so much for them and I'm asking this one thing, and they completely betrayed me, and so now I'm on my own. Like, I just, because it's said, but it's not shown, and I just think we needed to see at least maybe like one instance of that happening, of him like being, I guess, to be fair, we do actually. That's unfair. We do, because in Frontierland, he comes back from a fight. That's exactly that situation.
That's true.
But for some reason, it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not reading it right. There's something about Cass's story in this, it doesn't quite gel together. Like, it's almost like there is just that little bit missing of like, how did he get to this point? Even though we spend a whole episode on it.
Well, we needed more interactions like Cass and Rachel.
Yeah, that's right as well. Yeah, like seeing the betrayals
and like more of like Balthazar, the reasons why Balthazar like wants to help Sam and Dean, but also not want to help Sam and Dean. Like, we needed more angels on Cass's side start to turn on him.
I think you're right.
For us to. And like maybe even like Raphael, because Raphael, even though Raphael is this, this huge character, and he's trying to restart the apocalypse, he's not doing anything that we can see that is actually restarting the apocalypse, other than getting Cass to bow to him and like fighting other angels. But we don't see any of that. Raphael's in what, like 3 episodes for maybe 10 minutes each?
He doesn't really feel like a big bad, that we should be fighting against.
No. And like, he's just this, like, I mean, I guess he's like a god figure, right? Because he's so powerful, what have you. But like, it would have been interesting to maybe have an interaction between Cass and Raphael, where like they try to like Cass tries to bargain with him in a weird way, in a way that doesn't make sense to who Cass is as a person. Like, I'll give up Sam and Dean if you do some, or like maybe not do that because he is trying to protect them, but like, you know, I'll give up myself, my grace, I don't know, something, if you leave them alone. And like Raphael's like, no, that's not good enough.
I think that's what it is.
And then he's like,
the situation doesn't feel desperate enough. Like, it doesn't, we're being told that it is, but it doesn't feel desperate enough because with all this world building stuff that we've already talked about, I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like the apocalypse doesn't feel so looming anymore.
No.
Like, it doesn't feel so imminent that it could, like, the way that it sometimes makes it sound is as if, like, as soon as Raphael gains power over heaven and is no longer distracted by the war in heaven, he can start the apocalypse immediately.
It doesn't feel like that. You're right. It doesn't feel like that. And I think that's partly why Sam and Dean don't take Cass seriously, because they don't feel the threat.
Yeah.
And that's also part of his frustration with them, right? Because he's like, I'm telling you, hey, look, it's almost like climate change. I'm telling you there's a threat. And look at you. You're not doing anything.
Yep. You're not doing anything, and there's only small things you need to do, and it will help.
You know, do the things. Just do the things I'm asking you to do. Why don't you trust me? Yeah, no, I understand. I completely understand, Cass. Now I'm done. I got it.
You just have to equate it to climate change.
I mean, yeah.
No,
I won't go too depressing because we're keeping it light. Keeping it light, guys.
We want to make you depressed about this show, not about life.
This is an escape from life. Good Lord. Right, okay. Yeah. Outside the building, this was so funny to me. I don't know why this was funny to me. Bobby and Dean are there. Only Bobby has binoculars. First of all, why? Like, Dean's squinting like he can see in the dark. Also, Bobby is using normal binoculars to see things, not even nighttime ones. So what can he see? What can he... Honestly, it's fine. And then Bobby's like, I count a dozen mooks, maybe more. And Dean's like, demons? And Bobby's like, angels. I'm like, how do you know? I don't know why.
This is true.
No, but demons wear suits too.
They do, especially Crowley's ones.
How do you know? But okay, Bobby, you're just that good. You can spot an angel at 50 paces.
I mean...
I don't know why it just completely threw me. I don't. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So Dean's like, "How are we going to kill them? Any angels?" And Bobby says, "We'll ninja our way in." And Dean says, "Yeah, until they hear your knees squeak," which great. And like they start to hear this like booming sound, and they turn around. And there's like a puddle on the ground that's like rippling. And Dean's like, what the hell is that? T-Rex? Amazing.
Yeah, of course. It wouldn't be any other it wouldn't be any other reference.
No, absolutely not. What would that? No, not with that. Bobby looks up and the moon is like being partially eclipsed by demon smoke. Like, there's so many demons coming. So he's like, and Dean's just like, get in the car. So they run to the Impala. They get in the car and the smoke just like flips it. You know for sure they didn't have seatbelts on when that happened. Like, for sure. I don't think the Impala only has lap belts anyway. So like, what's it gonna do?
Not that much. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's the end of the season. The car has to get damaged, right?
Yeah, it does.
Dean needs to fix the car to fix himself and all that.
Like his heart.
Symbolism.
Heart is broken. So the car must be.
Yep.
We must learn to heal.
Yep.
So all the guards, the angel guards, get like messed up by demons. That's what's happening here. And Crowley appears in front of Cass, and he just says, "Never underestimate the king of hell, darling." Love that. No, I think it's time to renegotiate our terms. Cass just like disappears. And he tries to like he's been doing this move a lot where he like disappears and reappears behind somebody. He tries to do it to Crowley and he puts his hand on his forehead and nothing happens. And Crowley just says, "Sweaty hands, mate." Says, you can palm me all you want. I'm safe and sound under the wing of my new partner. And he gestures and Raphael appears and says, "Hello, Castiel." It would have been cool. We're on the it would have been cooler track. I feel like it's fine. Where's the lightning? Come on, Raphael. Like, show off a little bit.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Do your little...
That's right.
Yeah. Do your light show. Bring it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know. Like,
where's the peacocking?
This woman is fine as Raphael, but, like, we needed another person with more presence than her.
Yeah. I think, like, it feels weird to switch actors again for Raphael. I think maybe they should have just stuck with, but I guess that vessel doesn't exist anymore. That's how he's just appearing in heaven. And
And this was before his vessel got destroyed that way as well.
So he obviously had to find a new vessel, which is why we like Raphael changed his appearance again. But I think you're right. I don't know. I don't think I would have questioned it if he had turned up in his previous vessel. I don't think I would have questioned it. It's funny the things that are sticklers for lore on. Do you know what I mean? Like when we question so much, and it's like
right.
I probably wouldn't have questioned this, but okay, maybe I would have done. I quite enjoy Raphael. I like the fact that they kind of like change gender of the vessel, and then they still refer to Raphael as he. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the name, isn't it, really? It's not a particularly gender-neutral name. It's just... It is funny, but I also don't particularly like the sort of ribbing of, like, haha, he's in a woman's body.
Yeah, that's also
so we're
true.
Gonna keep calling her she, her, like he, she kind of thing. I'm just like, ugh, okay, that's very...
Oh, I took it in good faith of respecting Raphael's pronouns despite outward appearance, but I think I'm being too nice to Supernatural.
Yeah, no, it's because Raphael's a girl
you're so
now.
Right. Good lord. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's not respect.
Okay, so Crowley says in the next bit, and I don't have to keep this in, he says, you've said shameful, appalling, scatological things about Raphael, right? And I swear to you that Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, said these exact words to Keir Starmer last week. And I wondered if she was quoting Crowley. I'm trying to find what she said. She said, and I quote, did the Foreign Secretary take that opportunity to apologise for making derogatory and scatological references, including, and I quote, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, but he's also a profound threat to the international order. That's what our Foreign Secretary said about Trump in 2017, and then they had dinner together recently, and they're like, did he apologise? But it's so close to the quote, the derogatory, like, was Kemi Badenoch quoting Crowley? Probably not.
Could have been.
It's a shame. I guess. I just.
Yes.
I don't know. It's very niche. I wanted to see if she'd said the same thing, but it wasn't quite the same. It was close though. Like it was close enough that it was weird. Anyway, sorry. We did get a Star Act 4 anyway.
I think it's a scatological thing. Like that's it's not a often used term, I feel like. Okay. So Cass carries on and says, consorting with demons, I thought that was beneath you. And Raphael says, I heard you were doing it. Sounded like fun. And Crowley says,
You know, Castiel, you've said all sorts of shameful, appalling, scatological things about Raphael. I found him to be really quite reasonable.
I wonder where Crowley's coming up. Like we've talked about how Crowley's really good at manipulating people, but I wonder if he's being blindsided by the fact that like being so close to getting 20 million souls to like power himself up, that he's not taking into consideration that demons are less than scum to angels, and there was no way that he would have come out of this unscathed.
I do not quite understand this double cross. I know like the enemy of the enemy is my friend, blah blah blah, but like, is he just doing this to take like Cass out of the picture because he wronged him. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, because you're right. Raphael, if he gets all the souls, is going to use that power to, you know, restart the apocalypse like he said he would, or become the new god.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't think that's good for you, Crowley. Like, I don't know.
Like, at least Cass has a weakness in Sam and Dean that Crowley can exploit, and like but Crowley doesn't have that over Raphael. Like, there's it doesn't, this, like I said, this double cross doesn't make a lick of sense. Unless
go on.
Okay, you go with your unless, and then I'll go with mine.
Unless this was all a ploy to take Raphael off the board. Yes.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing. Maybe this is when Cass learns how to manipulate somebody, because his betrayal brought Raphael to him, so he didn't have to go find Raphael to then, because Raphael always had to be in this episode, right? He had to be destroyed in this episode. There's no other like way to end this, really.
I think,
and there's no way to get him in to. I mean, I guess, there was no way to get him into this episode. I don't think.
To be fair to Crowley, he's in a lose-lose situation here, right? Because either Cass gains all the souls, and he kind of hates Crowley. They're officially no longer like together. He's now a hated ex. Like, Cass is going to kill him once he's got the souls. That's in Crowley's mind. And if Raphael wins, he's also going to, like, you know, start the apocalypse and fight hell and kill Crowley. So I think the only way for him to win is to kind of maybe make them destroy each other and cozy in on the winning side, right?
Right.
But I think I always thought I think that he always knew that Cass was going to win. Like, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. I feel like Crowley's playing some 3D chess that I don't get, you know? But
yeah, it's a bit of a Stephen Moffat, you'll get the answer when I give it to you.
And like, I also think Crowley's just so out for himself that like it makes his next move sometimes unpredictable.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's literally like, how can I survive this? Like, how? Because Cass is going to kill me. How can I survive this? Okay, I'll bring his greatest enemy to him.
That'll put me in his good graces.
Because I'm, you know, if then he kills him, at least his wrath isn't focused on me. Because you'll notice, like, Crowley just takes a moment to like leg it, right? Once, and he's gone. So it was all just almost all a distraction for his own escape, essentially, and a diversion.
And is this okay? Maybe we'll get there in season 7, but was the lie that, I say lie in quotations, was the lie that Crowley was looking for real estate really the truth? As in, like, he was never interested in the souls. He actually just wanted to get into purgatory for the space of purgatory. I don't think that's true, because I don't think Crowley ever gets into purgatory. So he probably did always want the souls. But was it also just like another, like, I told you a lie. I told you the truth in the lie, but it was actually the truth kind of thing.
It's all about survival for Crowley. So like getting souls and being on par with the new god, like Cass, being the two most powerful beings and balancing each other out. That's why he asked for half, right? Because otherwise there would always be people coming for his power. Whereas like if he has someone else of equal power, like the attention's divided and there's kind of balance, and he, you know, he's more easily survivable situation. I do think on the surface of it, him bringing Raphael doesn't make sense. I think if you dig into a bit deeper about the survival thing, I think it was Crowley's last play. in this situation. For something that's already gone south. So kind of like an all-in bet. But yeah, he definitely uses it to get away. Like who knows where he like ran off to at the end of this. But we find out. But
exactly. Yeah. Yep. We do. So Cass points out that like,
you fool, Raphael will deceive and destroy you at the speed of thought.
I really like that line. I'll admit, Kripke can write some good biblical lines. Yeah. And Crowley sort of dismisses it. It's like, yeah, because you're such a like straight shooter. I mean, this is the stuff I do all the time just because I'm really bad with speaking. Has offered me, protections from all comers, against all comers, which is not true. Like, come on. In exchange for the purgatory blood. This is where Raphael sort of I guess now that he knows what the plan is, he's like, you thought I'd let you open that door, take in that much power. If anyone's going to be the new god, it's me. Cass is like, he's going to bring the apocalypse and worse. And then Crowley says, this is all on you. Like, if you hadn't changed the deal, I'm taking the best offer on the table. Like, I'm going to get protection. Even if I don't get half the souls, I'm getting protection. And now you have two options. And then he does the fake, like, mocking voice of flee or die. In which then Cass, like, throws the jar of blood at Crowley and disappears. The lunar eclipse begins and Crowley starts the ritual. Very great acting on this. And, like, you cut back to outside and you see the Impala upside down and Dean's trying to wake up Bobby and they've got to get out because I guess he's sensing that the solar eclipse is happening and maybe there's a shift in the atmosphere, like whatever. So back in the room, Crowley's continuing the ritual and Bobby and Dean enter and Dean does this really cool move of like a knife throw, but like it was always going to miss Raphael because it's like 6 inches too far from his shoulder, like 3 inches too far from her shoulder. Because he, like, I'm also referring to Raphael's but she just grabs it mid-throw and then, like, drops it on the floor like it means nothing. And he's like, oh, well, there's a reason why it gets dropped on the floor, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. And then outside, we see Sam, who is stumbling along, completely, like...
How did he get there?
Having the worst... How did you get there? There's no car. Worst migraine you've ever seen because he is so like stumbling everywhere. Like, did he hitchhike the entire way? No. There's no way that he did. Like, he's a sweaty boy. He's an absolute sweaty boy. And as he's walking, we're seeing him like flashes of... what was that episode called?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, where all the fire and everything is like taking over him from hell. And he's having a real hard time just like existing. Back in the building, so they like Bobby gets thrown down the stairs by Raphael. Dean gets flipped over the top of the banister and like lands on the torture table and it gets bent in half and they're like both like groaning on the floor. So Crowley continues the ritual and like nothing happens. And he says, maybe I said it wrong.
The zoom they do on the like sigil of like, oh no, nothing's happening. It's so good.
Yeah. And so as all of this like spell casting is going on, this is where the Hitchcock zoom is, where like your face gets bigger, but the background goes like, it's the whole thing. And Cass appears and he's holding himself completely differently. You can tell something's not quite right. Because Cass just casually says, you said it perfectly. All you needed was this. And there's like an empty jar of blood, like puts on the table. And Carol's like, oh, I guess what were we working with? And he goes up to the sigil and like licks it. And it was dog's blood, naturally. Which of course, he likes his hellhound. So of course it would be a dog. So Raphael's really not smart. Like, again, like he's not, again, he's very much like Michael. He's toted up to be like this big bad like important thing, and it's like, nah, you just have lackeys that do everything for you, so you're not actually that good at anything.
Well, yeah, I could think of some other people in power who are like that.
It's strange that, isn't it?
Enough of these games, Castiel. Give us the blood.
Game's over. His jar's empty.
He says, how did the ritual go? Better than ours, I'll bet. And Cass does a light show, basically.
He does.
he just turns into a ball of light just to show off.
I do like the way he's kind of holding himself, like it's so arrogant, like, and he feels kind of dangerous. I don't know, I can't explain it, but like, yeah, that's good.
It's just menacing, right? Just the way that he's talking, like it's just like, yes, well, you thought so little of me. Look at me now.
It's also partly because like this sounds really bad, but like Cass kind of isn't that smart, like, and he's pretty naive.
No, you're right. Yeah,
and he's just been given all this power. He's like a child who's been given all this power.
Yes.
Kind of, I guess you could mirror it to Jack later on. That like, yeah,
True.
maybe someone like, so first of all, no one should have that much power, and secondly, like, should someone like Cass, who clearly like got vendettas going on, and like, I don't know, like the way he conducts himself is very much based on, like, he's only just discovered free will, right? He's only just discovered how to do things. He's like a baby deer. Like, he shouldn't have this much power. That's how you feel about it. And I feel like it's more dangerous when you feel like someone can be like volatile with that much power.
Definitely.
And he's like, oh, you can't imagine what's like. They're all inside me. I laughed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm such a child. I was like,
yeah, me too. I had the same reaction. I mean, so did Crowley. So we're all.
That's true, yeah. Because Crowley says, "Sounds sexy," and then says, "Exit stage, Crowley." I love that. I don't know. Yeah. Cass says, like, "What's the matter, Raphael? Someone clip your wings." And he's just like, please, like, you let the demon go, but not your own brother. And Cass does say, like, he has plans for Crowley, and it's like, you, on the other hand. And he like snaps his fingers, and Raphael explodes, because of course he does, because Eric Kripke wrote this episode.
Yep. And also, this is his revenge for Lucifer doing it to him. I guess it was Raphael that did it to him last time.
100.
So yeah, it was a revenge thing, but like with Chuck, when they were protecting
Yes,
Chuck.
you're right. I forgot about the whole exploding thing. You're right. Yeah, it would have been Raphael. It wouldn't have been anyone else. So, yeah. I mean, good revenge, I guess. So yeah, Raphael also doesn't get to leave wings because exploded. So, yes, he says, you, on the other hand, and explodes Raphael and says, so you see, I saved you. And like, turns to Dean, right? As in like, I saved you.
Yeah.
And Dean is like visibly scared of Cass. Like the way he's like backing up on him, like his hands are almost like slightly up. I'm like, sure thing, Cass, thank you.
Yeah.
And Cass like, you doubted me, fought against me, but I was right all along. And
Okay, Cass, we're sorry. Well, let's just defuse you, okay? You're full of nuke. It's not safe, so before the eclipse ends, let's get them souls back to where they belong.
Oh no, they belong with me.
And Dean can immediately see that the power is getting to Cass, because he says, like, look, it's scrambling your brain. There's so much going on in their facial expressions with each other, I can't even explain it. It's just like, Dean is visibly scared of Cass, but he still wants to be his friend. Like, he's still trying to pull him back from the edge.
Yes.
So, Cass says, like, I'm not done. Raphael had many followers, and I must punish them all severely. And he's like, the way he says it is really almost like condescending. I can't think of any other word. Like, I don't know, arrogant. Arrogant.
Yeah.
And Dean says, like, Luke, no, I know there's a lot of bad water under the bridge, but we were family once. I'd have died for you. I almost did a few times. So if that means anything to you, like, please. Oh my God, this lie. I couldn't.
Please. I've lost Lisa. I've lost Ben. And now I've lost Sam. Don't make me lose you too.
But you did. You already
did. Cass is gone, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like, I don't know. It gets me. It gets me right in the dusty feels. Is that word?
Yeah. It is now.
And he's still calling him Cass. I feel like he's trying to ground him back by calling him Cass. Like, remember who you are. You're not Castiel. Like, God, you're just Cass, man. So he says, like, you don't need this juice anymore. Like, get rid of it before it kills us all. And Cass again is like, you're saying that because I won because you're afraid. And then we see Sam behind him.
You're not my family, Dean. I have no family.
Right in the heart. Sam stabs Cass through the back with the angel blade. No one else does that. Don't worry about it. Sam is having a bad time still. And then, like, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And I turned and said, oh, he's not an angel anymore. And then Cass says, I'm glad you made it, Sam. That angel blade won't work because I'm not an angel anymore. And I was like, yeah. Mentally high-fiving Cass and getting lines together. And they do this, like, shot of Cass from the bottom. Like, you're looking up at him in a suggestive way.
I mean, if you think about the way that churches and things are set up, like
that,
you're always looking up at.
It's all a bit.
Yeah, you're on your knees looking up. What can I tell you?
It's all a bit like that. And he's like,
I'm your new god. A better one. So you will bow down and profess your love unto me, your lord. Or I shall destroy you.
It's so anticlimactic, but I still kind of love it. I do love Godstiel, I will say. Yeah.
Is this the Leviathan talking through him?
No, I think this is Cass. I do think this is Cass on a power trip. It's almost like Soulless Sam. I feel like that's the same kind of dynamic.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, like, the opposite, because Cass is just, like, full of souls. Too many souls.
Mm-hmm. You either have too many souls and you become soulless, or you have no soul and you're
like
soulless.
one is enough, you know? But, yeah. I'm looking forward to Godstiel. Those few episodes we get with Godstiel. I did enjoy this. I like the camera work. I did enjoy. There was a moment in this whole bit where they did like I said, the zooms of all the people's faces and like reaction to something, and I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was
the Purgatory not opening.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, you're right.
I think
it was good. It was great. I love it. Why is it not a GIF? I want that as a GIF. Just everybody's faces. Yeah, but that was the end of the episode and the end of the season.
Yeah. I needed to see Cass turn dark for this to be more impactful. Because, like, his threat of, like, I shall destroy you doesn't feel that bad. Because he let Crowley go.
Not Sam and Dean, right? Not Sam and Dean, surely. So, you know.
Yeah, like, he spent all this time trying to save them so that they don't get killed. So why would he suddenly try to kill them?
It doesn't feel like a threat because it's them.
And I think you're supposed to think it as a threat because he says, "You're not my family. I have no family." Because he's also, like, you know, he's talked about his brothers and sisters as in the angels, and he's felt no remorse, like, for Raphael. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, Oh yeah, what you've been saying this whole time, how like the rest of Supernatural is Cass making up for this point, is 100% true. It is. I mean, it makes everything that he does from now on is just to make up for the fact that what he's about to do in season 7.
100%. Ultimately, what kills him. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What's that?
That was talking about a long story arc. God damn.
Right. What was it that Angel said? Which one said it? I should know this, but she says to Cass, the moment you laid a hand on him in hell, you were lost. It was Rachel, wasn't it? And like, she's so right for that. Because she's so right. She's just right. Like, it ultimately leads to his death many times. Until the last time.
See, again, the problem is the angels are never going to continue to follow Cass because he is a fallen angel. Just because God brought him back, it was never going to be strong enough cause for them to follow him.
Yeah, I think you're right, because ultimately they're looking for like the natural leader, if that makes sense. And like Cass, I don't feel is a natural leader.
He was a reluctant leader. Like you could tell that there are things like in The Man Who Would Be King, like the entire thing is his reluctance and like wanting guidance because he doesn't want to be here.
He almost just wants to like hang with his buddies on Earth. Like people should just leave him alone, and then bad things would stop happening because a lot of it is kind of Cass's fault. Like if you actually look at like a lot of the things that happen in Supernatural, like the domino, I feel like maybe Cass pushed this might be Cass pushing the domino, you know, because the apocalypse ended, they did that. And you're kind of right, like, could Raphael really restart the apocalypse, like, if he really wanted to? Like, no, maybe not. Like, so was he a real threat? Who knows? We don't ever get to find that out, which is fine. But like, because of Cass's massive reaction to that, we get Purgatory. Purgatory ultimately leads to like angels falling, Mark of Cain.
Yeah.
God getting done with them. Like, it leads to a lot of problems. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's fine. Also, I think, I mean, I have to save some thoughts, I feel, for like our next week when we do our season wrap up. But on this episode, it was a weird season finale.
Yes. And again, they had already written this ending in that bringing Kripke back to do it. I wonder, it would be interesting to know what the like behind the scenes were at this point between production and like writers and everything, because surely the season finale of the showrunner, the new showrunner, should write it, right? Surely she should have written the last, because she wrote the previous one, Let It Bleed.
Yeah, it's weird to bring Kripke back. It is weird. I want to ask him that. Could someone ask Eric Kripke why he came back to write? Someone must have asked him somewhere. There must be a TV interview, because they would have been like hyping it up in like TV magazines and stuff, like the creator of Supernatural comes back to write the final episode of season 6. It's probably somewhere out there. Someone send me that article, please, or I will try and Google it. I'm sure it must exist. But if not, someone ask him. Go to these boys' events and ask him questions about Supernatural. Do it. Do it. I dare you. In a respectful way. Ask in a respectful way. You know, we're nice to people on this podcast.
Exactly.
You know, I know you're trying to promote a new series of The Boys. No, it's fine. Why did you come back to write the end of season 6 of Supernatural in 2011? 2011.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah. Can you go back in time 13 years and remember why you decided to do that?
How did that come about? I don't know what else I'd ask Eric Kripke. I don't know. I feel like I've done this episode to death. I feel like I watched it, I absorbed it, and like Soulless Sam, it's all just gone in and made up a part of my personality now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, this is just an episode to get you to the next season. Like it's not concluding any sort of story. It's not a resolution for anybody. Even within the episode, like the whole Soul of Sam, or the whole Sam regaining his memories thing, it's not really concluded. It's just like, oh, he's a stumbling mess. Like, oh, we'll sort that out next season. Like,
yeah,
we'll just shuffle it along. Like, Raphael's dead, Crowley's gotten away. Just don't worry, it'll be next one. Just,
this is what I wanted to say. Yes, this was it. They've almost reset Supernatural, right? So it's just Sam and Dean again fighting against a big bad Cass. They've got Bobby, but they've taken away all the extra things, just like they take away their supporting characters, because what they've done is they've made their one supporting character, Cass, they've made him the big bad, and then all the other supporting characters, Samuel Campbell, even Rufus, they've killed off. So it's just Sam and Dean again, with Bobby helping them, just like it was in season 4 and 5.
So what's going to happen though, right? They will turn to Crowley because it's, again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So because they can never not have a supernatural being in their back pocket to get answers for, because they're entering in realms that they just can't get to by themselves. Like before, it was like, oh, we can look at the lore of a Rougarou or a werewolf. Like, we have books on this. Whereas, like, we're getting into territory that they need supernatural beings that know what's going on.
That's so true. Yeah, and I think you're right about that as well. I do think they go and bother Crowley and be like, hey, I think you must be right about that.
Because along the way, the being Crowley.
Yeah, exactly. Being Crowley. Yeah. I will say I didn't not enjoy this episode, but I feel like I didn't hugely enjoy it either. I feel like this is a very middle ground episode and quite forgettable, which is probably why I forgot it. If that makes sense. There are some moments in here that are standout moments, like all the bit in the basement. I remembered all that bit. I didn't remember any of Sam in his like dream world at all, which is bad. So yeah, it was, as I would say, an episode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I don't have much more. I think, like I said, we'll save a lot of it for our season wrap up next week, because I'm sure I've got more to say on it.
Yes.
By then, once I have a little think about things and watch some deleted scenes, and I already watched the blooper reel. That happened as soon as I'd watched this. I was like, if the DVD is in, I'm watching it.
Fair enough. No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna probably watch it after this, actually. To be fair, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Like you said, it was an episode. Which is kind of sad for a season finale.
Yeah, I agree.
I was trying to think back to what the last sort of season's finales were. And they did just, even though each of them left on a cliffhanger, the cliffhanger felt more dangerous. And I think it's because it was an introduction to something completely new. So like, I'm thinking back to season 4, which I can't remember the name of the episode right now, but like, the cage opening, like we have no expectation of what Lucifer will be. Season 3, Dean being mauled to death,
such a good season finale,
and like, right, and you see him in hell, like being tortured. Like, what is going on? Like, what? Whereas this is just, and I think it's because the perception of Cass is still very much from the point of Sam and Dean, as in, he's just a nerdy little dude. Yeah. So to have like Cass be like, or I'll destroy you. You're just like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
You're not gonna do
Try
anything.
Me. Yeah. No, I agree with you. He's such a like an endearing character to me that like to try and make him the bad guy doesn't sit right, because he's been so much of that. It doesn't feel like a betrayal to me, because I don't really believe we're being betrayed. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
And I think that's also how kind of like Dean feels as well, because he's very confused by Cass's betrayal. Like, he just gets angry at him about it. Like, why didn't you come to us? Like, and he only starts to sort of feel betrayed once people start getting hurt, like Eleanor, and obviously that hurts Bobby, like, tangentially, and all this kind of stuff. So, and then ultimately Sam. I think that was, but then even Sam doesn't seem to like tip him over the edge, because they don't go into I think this is the thing. At no point are they going into that building of like, we need to take Cass down, right? It's like, we need to stop him and save him from himself. It's like always they're kind of lying into this, which is how they would act if it was a family member. Like, I truly believe that Dean means it when he says that Cass is family to them, because at no point do they talk about killing him at all. Well, they do talk about, and they do talk about killing Crowley. So I think it's supposed to be on par with like seeing one of them possessed by like Lucifer or Michael. I think that's how we're supposed to see it. I think maybe because it's just a bit of a more abstract concept of like the soul's power and like the idea of God. Like you said, we've only tangentially been introduced to the stakes. Balthazar had one line about Cass like exploding half the world if he like pops, basically.
Right.
And we don't know like the extent of how like what his powers are going to be either. Like, there's been no reference to what his powers could possibly be, because we didn't see Purgatory open. No one's really thinking about the fact that has happened. So like the portal's open for all the monsters, because like that didn't even cross my mind until I literally said it to you now, because we don't see it because Cass opened it in some undisclosed location. What other threats are there? Like, I guess the angels that's kind of dulled now because of Cass being who he is.
Right. And Cass is going to tell him to back off of Sam and Dean.
So the big threats are kind of unknown, and like we don't know what's going to happen to Sam either, because he actually seems to be kind of okay. Like, he seems a bit like, way, but other than that, like, he's functioning.
Right,
He stabbed Cass, so we don't know that's not gonna, if that's gonna have a lasting effect or not, because at the moment it seems like it might not. Maybe he seems to be functioning.
Yeah, I think another kind of issue with the end of this episode, again, because it comes up so quickly, they don't have enough time, is that the only conversation that you get is between Dean and Cass. Like, where was Sam's plea? Where was Bobby's plea? Like, I feel like we need, obviously, like, it was somewhat of a distraction so Sam could get behind Cass, but Cass would have known that he was there the whole time anyway, if he's that powerful. And maybe you're supposed to take away some of maybe you're supposed to take away that Cass has really changed because he doesn't fix Sam.
That's true.
Either.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have enough time to sort of have any of that kind of. Okay, actually, this is what's missing from this episode. There is no like epilogue.
Yes.
So you like when season 3, Dean goes to, like, we see Dean die, and I think we do the zoom into the eye as well, right? Of like him in hell, like being all like actually there wasn't an epilogue in season 4, or was there? Actually, so maybe not. But sometimes I feel like there was a little bit of the thing has happened, and then here's like a little
we
bit.
We do occasionally get it. You're right. Like, there's a few where we get a little like, oh, these are the consequences of this. A really cool one would have been like, they show it in the next season where Cass like changes the stained glass to himself. Like, what if they'd had like just a short scene of like a church where people are going in and all the stained glass windows are Cass now? Like, that would have been really funny, and everyone been like, whoa, he really is like
yeah. Or we do get this visual, I feel like, later on in Supernatural of like where he's like decimated a whole bunch of angels.
Exactly, like standing around.
Like he's back in his like favorite heaven, and he's like destroyed a whole, like he's destroyed that heaven because he's so powerful now, and like that's a consequence. Like he can never go back to that heaven, and I feel like that should have been the sort of like Cass is destroying a part of himself and he's not even realizing it. I feel like that would have been like a real like.
I even think just having him disappear. So like we see him, but just having him then leave. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Goddard's been absent throughout all of Supernatural. So to have him suddenly go, you're inconsequential, and just like say, I'm your new god now, and then disappear, and then we just get that visual of them being like left alone in that lab, like what's just happened? I think that would have been also quite impactful. I think that you're right. There's like almost like, just like a little bit, just to like, I know we're already on a cliffhanger, but just to like give you some consequence of like, what could the consequences be? I guess probably they hadn't written episode 1 of season 7, so maybe they didn't want to like do too much of that. But yeah, just like a little something. I don't know. But I agree. I think the word anticlimactic comes to mind. I think
yes,
on this season, but I think they can't all be winners. There are 15 of them, to be fair. I feel like we've been particularly harsh in some way, but I feel like we've been harsh on season 6 overall.
I think it's because there was an expectation of it being better.
I think we went in with high expectations.
Because there are really good episodes in this season. So, but there are also, like, I think I've said this before, the good were really good, but then the bad were really bad.
Yeah, I think that sums up season 6 pretty much.
Yeah, which we will get into
next week.
More next week.
Next week is... Well,
or next time.
Next time, yeah. So next time is our like season wrap up little bit. We usually like have a little chat about the season, which we kind of like done obviously throughout, but we try to gather our thoughts maybe a bit more coherently, and kind of have a chat about the season as a whole. And we usually talk about like favorite bits and stuff. And then the episode after that is our blooper reel of all the stupid thing we said that we cut out and then put together. So you can hear it. And I feel like the blooper reel, as in Supernatural, is just for us, really. But like, we also put it out there in case you enjoy it too. I do sit and listen and laugh at myself.
Me too. Yes, they are really fun to do, and I'm not sure if we have many rants I can put into it this time, but that's probably a lie. I haven't gone back to listen. Like, I have like, I think over 100 clips.
Oh my gosh.
Like, silly.
Oh my gosh. Maybe you should do like a for us version and then a for our listeners version, because maybe I want to hear that. That's too long. It's too long. I think a good 5 minutes is what you're going to get.
I think I usually make about 10. But anyway, yes. So, and then we're not going to, so sometimes we would do a break in between seasons, but since we're doing it since we release them every other week, we are not going to take like 2 weeks in between.
It's too long.
We'll take our usual break and then go into season 7.
I know, I'm so excited. But I'll talk about more next week.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time. We're saying week because we used to do this weekly.
We did, and I got used to saying it, and now we don't. So
that's the way it goes. Right. So at the end of the episode, we'd like to thank the Pixelagore for his amazing logo art, and again for coming on a couple episodes ago. And if you want to come talk to us about how anticlimactic this episode was, or if you want to talk, like, send us your rewrite of season 6.
Do that.
You can do that all over social media. Probably Tumblr is the easiest way to do that. Anyway, but we are on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, some other places. You can also go to our Redbubble store and get the logo that the Pixelagora designed for us. We are Escaping Purgatory podcast on most social media, just Escaping Podcast on Twitter. I got there in the end. I did that all sort of ass backwards, but you got there.
We are in the process, and probably will be completed by the time this episode comes out, of moving from Twitter to Blue Sky because Twitter is a hellscape. So
it is.
We're moving over to Blue Sky. And yeah, there's a link on our Twitter to our Blue Sky as well. So on Blue Sky, we are at Escaping Podcast, just as we were on Twitter.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So this week, we practiced some lucid dreaming. We found some parts of ourselves. We opened up a portal. And then what? So next week, we'll find our way out. Bye!
Bye! Sounded a bit obscene.